In today's video, we're going to make a perfect bound journal for Curse of the Crimson Throne. And the first thing I've done is I've printed out my journal. Did some nice graphics for it. And since it's the Curse of the Crimson Throne, I thought what better way to celebrate than to use a piece of bright red marine vinyl. I have cut my boards and my spine already. I'm going to be using a piece of cotton mull. I have two pieces of poster board that I have cut up for the end covers of the book. I have my bookmark. And I have this really nice headband material. Other pieces of equipment I'll be using is a bone folder, a pair of scissors, assorted paintbrushes. Hey Ike, how are you? So, let's get started. The glue I will be using is Gorilla Glue and some Weldwood contact cement. I'm going to start by folding the paper. On this nice little paper folding jig. The jig is an optional piece of equipment, but hey, it does make life easier. You merely just tap your paper over and voila. Oh, look, it's my logo. Thank you, Tom. After I've folded the paper, I take my bone folder and I run it across the paper, and it gives me this really fine crease. Okay, after I've got the paper folded and creased, I've got these pieces of glue on that I have covered in parchment paper, and I put them in the jig. And I tap my paper to make sure it's all nice and square. I take my other piece of glue on and I come right down in, and if I'm lucky, I've got a perfectly sandwiched book. Let me At that point, I apply some clamps to keep the thing together. And I'm nice and smooth and square, everything lines up well. Okay, now we're going to glue. I've got the Gorilla Glue, and I've got a trusty old paintbrush. And when you're gluing the ends of the book, always brush away from the book. That way your glue doesn't pull up on the back side there. And I am being very liberal with the Gorilla Glue. Once again, when you're at the end, always brush away from the book. Merry Christmas, Jess. Okay, I've applied a lot of glue to it, and we're gonna let it dry now. And in the meantime, we're gonna take this beautiful piece of red marine vinyl, and we're going to lay our boards out. Okay, and I'm going to work on centering my boards. And when you're making a perfect bound book, you have to allow a 1/4 inch gap plus the width of your board. I'm using 1/4 inch Luan, so 1/4 inch plus 1/4 inch equals a 1/2 inch. And that's 2 pieces of Luan put together. I've got some spacers. And I can put them in place. And then I can easily center my book. I'm going to take a pin and mark my boards. Okay, there we go. I've got my layout, so I know where all my glue is. I did forget one side. Okay, now I'm going to take more Gorilla Glue. And paint roller. Okay, now that I have my paint roller nice and charged, I'm going to now that I have my paint roller all nice and charged, I'm going to spread glue along the vinyl. Okay, now that I have my beautiful piece of red vinyl glued, I'm going to set it aside for a minute and let it dry. And while that's dry, I'm going to fold my end boards. We're going to use those here in a few minutes. Check on our glue. Yeah, it's tacking up nicely. We're going to go back over here to our vinyl. We're going to take our two end pieces, and I've just rounded off the corner a bit. We'll put down a piece of paper. And once that's glue, I'm going to set it over here for it to tack up and apply glue to the other end board. You want to post a picture of your cookies? And now that that one's dry, I'm going to set it over here and let it tack up for a minute. Practice makes perfect. I like the webcam recording the video camera output. And now that the glue is starting to tack up, I'm going to work from right to left. And I'm going to apply my end board. I'm going to put a spacer down at the bottom and one at the top just to make sure everything, that's my spine, make sure everything stays in square. I'm going to take my two spacers and I'm going to put them in there for the spine. Yeah, those are a little big. And put my spine in, make sure I'm lined up on the bottom. Push down, take my spacers out, and I'm close enough on the top. Well, do you want to put a picture in chat so I can see them? Can't really see my phone. And I'm going to take my other board. And I'm going to flip it over, take my bone folder, get all the air bubbles out. Then I'm going to flip. And I'm going to apply some pressure by using my nice little paper folding jig. I want to give a special shout out to Beth Benjamin for donating an entertainment center that I have used for many different projects. Okay. Yeah, the glue is tacking up nicely. Okay. I'm going to slide that out of the way. And we're going to take our dried book. Going to separate it. I love parchment paper. Gonna take an X-Acto knife. And just come down the corners. Okay, as you can see from where we folded, the pages are jagged on the tops and bottom. So, there's an easy way to fix that, and that would be a sander. I'm not going to broadcast the sanding, but you'll hear the noise. Be right back. So, I sandwiched the text block and offset it just a little bit, and as you can see, a few seconds of sanding makes a tremendous difference in the appearance and, usability of the book, in my opinion. So we have our text block, and we'll keep our two boards. And I'm going to sandwich the text block back in between the two boards again. And reclamp them. And I'm going to take a little bit of glue. I always forget. Mark which way is top. So I'm going to mark the spine here. And I'm going to repeat the process. Getting a little ahead of myself. I'm going to put my end boards on first. I'm going to take a piece of scrap paper for gluing. I'm going to position my text block. I'm going to take another piece of paper just as a clean glue edge. I'm going to dip my paintbrush in the glue, and once again, when you glue toward the end, always glue away. And I'm going to flip it and apply it to the end of the text block. I'm going to push down, use my bone folder to smooth it out. I'm going to flip it over. I'm going to position the other one. Yeah, I'm sure you could hear the sanding, Brett. Once again, when you're at the end of the book, always brush away. And I'm going to re-sandwich it between the boards. And now that I have it redone, what is up with this? I'm going to re-glue the spine. And I'm going to take my bookmark, and I marked the top of the book earlier. And I'm going to put the bookmark there. Apply a little more glue. And now I'm going to take my headband material measure and cut. And I'm going to apply my headband. I'm going to apply my other headband. A little more glue. Then I'm going to take my razor blade knife and I'm going to score the back of the book. And what this does is it helps the glue adhere to the paper better. Now that we've done that, I'm going to apply just a little more glue to the back to seal in all those crevices we just cut into the paper. Oh my God, it's the wonderful real estate agent, Missy Norris. Okay, once I've got that cut, I'm going to take a piece of cotton mull and I'm going to measure out a section of the book. And I cut the mull to size and I'm going to put it down over top of the book. And I'm going to stick it in the glue. How are you, Missy? And apply a little more glue. Okay, now we're going to let this dry. And while that's drying, we're going to work on the cover. Do you see that wonderful red? Contact cement. And we are going to do the edges. Put down some paper. This vinyl really soaks up the contact cement. We're going to give a very liberal application to the corners. Okay. Some strong stuff. Always use in a well ventilated area. Okay, our glue is tacking up well. Our text block, putting it in front of the heater. Yes, it's very nice and dry. We can remove the clamps and whatnot from it. Okay, our glue is tacking up nicely. We have our text block ready. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to trim our corners. At a 45-degree angle. Okay, now we're going to zoom over here to the side of the desk. And we're going to use the palm of our hand. And we're going to fold it over. And I'll take the bone folder. Indent my creases. And now I'm going to do the corners. And I'm going to zoom in for this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pinch the corner in. And I'm going to come down here and I'm going to pinch it in as well. And at that point, I'm going to pull over. As you can see, I end up with a nice, tightly wrapped corner. And I'm going to come down here to these corners. And I'm going to pinch them as well. And I'm going to pull and push over. Apply a little glue. And that's how you get glue all over your hand. Okay, now that I've got it like that, I'm going to take a big piece of parchment paper. And I'm going to put it over top of it. A lot of things have a hard time sticking to parchment paper. And I'm going to take my paper folding jig again. Make sure everything is pushed down nice and flat. And I'm going to let that tack up for a minute. Okay. My corners are nice. And I'm folding and just running the bone folder down just to make a crease. We take our text block, check the fit. And I'm going to fold the book over. I'm going to go back to the trusty paint roller. And I'm going to need more glue. And I fold my book cover up. Check my alignment. And I fold my book. Turn the bone folder down. And fold it back over. And this time, I'm going to take a smaller piece of parchment paper and slide in there. I'm going to fold the book back over so I've got the crease in it. I'm going to fold that in so I have the crease in it. I'm going to take another piece of parchment paper and I'm going to set it in there. Give it a good press down. Merry Christmas, Janice. How are you? And then I'm going to take a set of boards and I'm going to line them up right there at the crease. See the crease? And I'm going to check my alignment on both sides. And from there, we'll apply the clamps. Once again. There we go. Okay, now that the book is dried overnight, let's take the clamps off and see what we got. Take the board off. Got a nice crease. Book opens up nicely. Although we are upside down. Flip it around. Have a little glue spots to clean up, but nothing major. Book opens nicely. square is nice, everything is flat. Corners are nice and glued down. This book will go to the laser engraver. Then I'm going to put the nice little Curse of the Crimson Throne on the cover.